All right, boys and girls, I'm coming to you live from my mother's basement. The day after Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, and the St. Louis Blues are your 2019 Stanley Cup champions. And hey, got to give it up. Major props to them. I really grew to hate this team after that Shark series, and after they took that dream away from me of watching Jumbo raise that cup and bringing the first cup to San Jose. So I gotta give props to St. Louis to making that dream happen for all of their fans. And despite the fact that John Hamm shaved his beard, and really, I thought the hockey gods were going to punish him for that. I really did, because I think that's the ultimate sign of disrespect. I don't care if you got a roll. You're John Hamm. You tell him, we're waiting until Thursday to shoot. I'll shave that night when we're champions. That's a sidebar. Let's get into a little bit of the game. Overall, Boston came out and really dominated that first period. Had a bevy of scoring chances. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they had to have had at least around 6 legitimate scoring chances in that first period. Binnington stood on his head, and St. Louis, their 2 goals, they had 4 shots, I believe, in the first period, and they scored on 2 of them. The first one was a tip by who else than Ryan O'Reilly, who was the best player on St. Louis throughout the series, and had scored goals in 4 straight Stanley Cup final games, and is the first guy to do that since Wayne Gretzky back in '85. Just shows you the type of player he is, and a guy who we knew was very good defensively, does, in terms of defensive responsibility, winning faceoffs. This guy's an ultimate two-way center, and then when you add that offensive aspect to his game, just was the best player in the series, in my opinion, on both sides of the coin. And in terms of the 2 goals, just to add a little bit more onto it, the second one, I'll address that. The second one, Marchand went to make a change with 11 seconds left, a bit of a bonehead move, and just completely left Pietrangelo to his own devices, and gave a wide open lane for Pietrangelo to drive the net. He had a nice little toe drag backhand that got through Rath's right arm, I believe, right under there. And Tuukka had been the Conn favorite for a reason throughout these playoffs, because he was playing at such a high level and was so hard to beat. And both of those goals were by no means his fault, but they were scoring opportunities that he seemed to have saved. Sorry, I can't talk. In previous games and throughout the playoffs, he was the Bruins MVP for a reason, because his play was so stellar, and it looked like it was just going to be so tough to beat him. And I really felt for Tuukka, man, because the goals weren't necessarily his fault, but you could see that he wasn't having a lot of action throughout the period. There was only 4 shots, and the Bruins were controlling so much of the play, and the fact that they didn't get 1 goal to show for that, despite peppering Binnington with shots, is pretty heartbreaking. And Tuukka on the other end is getting a little bit cold, without the action, and then before you know it, you got two scoring opportunities that let you by. And then on the other hand, Jordan Binnington stole a game, and when he gets into those zones, there's a Jekyll and Hyde aspect to Binnington, where when he's on and he's locked in, and he's a competitor, and he has that competitive fire, and he lives for that moment. And then on the other side of the coin, if he gets shelled, it starts to snowball on top of each other. And he starts to get away from his game a little bit, because his wires cross a little bit. But that's neither here nor there, because last night he was completely in, played an unbelievable hockey game, and he bounced back from that Game 6 loss. And that's what he did throughout the whole playoffs. Whenever he had not necessarily a bad game, but coming off a loss or a game that he could have been better, he always bounced back and played great and brought that confidence to the team. So, to recap more of the game, second period, no scoring. Binnington, again, was playing well. The scoring opportunities weren't as legitimate as they were in the first period. And then on to the third period, the scoring opportunities got a little bit more legit. The Bruins started playing a little bit more aggressive. They can feel that they have 20 minutes to score 2 goals and really make this happen and try and force this game to overtime, or at least get 1 up on the board. But Binnington was up to the task, and the Bruins spent the majority of the period yeah, they spent the majority of the period in the Blues' end. Joachim Nordstrom had a golden opportunity that Bennington robbed him on, where he kicked it up to his skate right on his doorstep, and Bennington extended that right leg and made the save. And it's so hard to harp on Nordstrom to elevate in that situation because it's such a bang-bang hockey play. But, Monday morning quarterback, you would have loved to see him elevate it there. Then, I don't even know how much longer it was later, but it seemed the puck went back into the Bruins' end. Tarasenko made a backhand play from the corner right on Schen's tape, one-timer off the post, and beating Tuukka to take a 3-0 lead. And that's when I knew that this game was over for the Bruins. That next goal, that third goal, was so crucial for, I thought whoever scored that third goal was going to win the game. And it was the Blues who did it, despite the fact that the Bruins had much more scoring opportunities. And this just kind of goes back to the Blues overall. This game really epitomized, in my opinion, the Blues overall, the way that they won throughout this series, throughout these playoffs, excuse me. And that was playing defensively sound hockey, clogging up the neutral zone, and then capitalizing on chances going the other way, based on your forecheck and breaking the puck. They just play their floor is so high that you know what you're going to get, especially when they're playing with a 2-goal lead, and they know that the hardest thing for them to do, I feel like, is score. And once they know that they don't really have to do that and their only responsibility is playing sound defensive hockey and clogging up the neutral zone, they're a tough team to beat. And especially when you get goaltending like that, they let Bennington do his job, and he did it and some, and stood on his head, and they get the win 4-1. It was a really valiant effort. This Blues team is just, you can kind of see that the NHL is such a copycat league, and after this Blues team's kind of reminded me of the Kings teams that won back in 2012 and 2014. A little heavier, 4 lines, defensive hockey. They're going to beat the crap out of you and be physical, and you're going to have to persevere through that. And then the Kings had a goalie like Jonathan Quick, who was on an unreal tear in both of their runs, and you have Bennington, who is playing at a similar level. So the Blues, man, you just got to give it up to them. It's going to be interesting to see how free agencies, this year. You got guys that I talked about in my Sharks video, Wayne Simmons, Michael Furlan, who kind of fit that mold of two-way forwards who are going to be physical and the type of guys you're going to need in the playoffs. So I'm going to be very interested to see how the Blues winning the Cup affects the personnel trends of the NHL. So that's something that I'm looking forward to see. But overall, hats off to the Blues. They had a great playoff, man, and they, Winnipeg, Dallas, San Jose, and now Boston. Those are 4 super formidable teams that they beat, and they deserve it. And congrats to the city of St. Louis for finally getting a championship. And after all they've been through with the Rams leaving, going to LA, and now they finally get a championship after 52 years. So congrats to Blues Nation, to all of you. I hope I will soon be able to experience that for my San Jose Sharks, being in the SAP Center for, a big trophy celebration, eh? So, yep, that's all we're going to have to say today. Ciao.